Meeting of the Skokie Plan Commission. I will call the attendance. Commissioner Oosley is absent. Commissioner Manchella,
Here.
Commissioner Scott Berman.
Here.
Commissioner Franklin,
Here.
Commissioner Grupta,
None.
Commissioner Givanyaho,
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
Here.
Commissioner Matei,
Present.
and I'm here. And we do have a quorum. I'm also joined by Johanna Nyland from the Community Development Department, and Tyler Kabilski from our Corporation Council. First order of business is to approve the minutes that we have from the last couple of meetings. Do I have
So
a,
moved.
so moved? Commissioner Franklin, thank you. Commissioner Berman, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. Thank you. First case tonight is case 2023-23P, a special use at 5919 Toohey Avenue to obtain a special use permit for veterinary services. And is petitioner here tonight? Petitioner for this case? Anybody? Oh, please come up. Good evening. Come to the podium. Give your name and address for the record.
Yes, Stephen Rich, R-I-C-H, I'm Vice President of Asset Management for BCA Animal Hospitals, 11693 San
Okay.
Vicente.
And
VIC.
Are you gonna give testimony too tonight, or are you gonna talk?
I may, I'm the architect, so
Okay,
if you want, I can.
well, yeah, just give us your name and,
Peter Red,
Into the microphone, please.
Sorry. Peter Wren, Associate Director of Architecture and Engineering at WD Partners.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm gonna swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor, is there notice and order?
Notice is proper and correct.
Okay, very good. Okay, can you give us an overview of your request for the project here?
Yes, we are seeking to open up a veterinary urgent care at the property. We are, VCA operates close to 900 facilities around the United States, as well as internationally. We are the preeminent veterinary services provider in the country. We're looking to come into this community, provide veterinary services on an urgent care basis. So the best way to, I think, to describe it and to understand it is think of it as human urgent care. What do we do when we're not feeling well? We don't need to go to an emergency room. Perhaps our internist is booked up for quite some time, but we need to be seen urgently and get prescriptions and get a diagnosis. Same in the veterinary world. So when your pet is not doing well and you're not sure what's going on, you would bring the pet into the VCA urgent care. It's a short-term visit, and typically the diagnosis would be made, and then you would be either given further direction or referred out to a specialty or other provider if need be. We operate these around the country, and it is more of an emerging brand for us because we're finding that communities are underserved in this area. There's not enough veterinary practices that provide urgent care services, and sometimes people are waiting weeks to get their pets in to see a doctor, in to see a veterinary doctor. So we search out areas around the country that fit that model and that are underserved and over demand in terms of that. Now that being said, doesn't mean that the facility itself is high demand because we do things that are a little bit unique and a little bit innovative. We've developed an app for our clients, as we would call them, to be able to go about their day and get a text message 30 minutes before they could be seen at the facility. So they will go online, they will book up, they get a text 30 minutes before, head over to the facility, be seen. They're generally short visits, and then they're on their way. Primarily the facility is made up of exam rooms because that's primarily what we're doing. We think that we provide a nice service for the communities, and we do it in a nice environment and a nice build out. That's primarily the statement of what our business is and what we do.
How many other facilities do you have in this area?
I would have to get the total number in Chicagoland, but we do operate both general practices and then what's known as specialty, where
Okay.
Dermatology, ophthalmology,
And
oncology.
what is your hours of operation? How many days a week are you gonna be open?
So it depends by jurisdiction and demand. Typically, we are open 6 days a week. During normal business hours, 10 a.m. to 8 a.m. I'm sorry, 8 p.m. rather, primarily. We adjust those hours on demand and also on providers' time as well.
Okay. Any questions, Commissioner?
Is surgery conducted at the facility?
It is not. that would be a case where it would be referred out to another, to a more specialized, facility. So exams, primarily exams.
Commissioner Berman?
Is this a corporate store or a licensee?
We do not operate any licensees, so we operate corporately, and we are a company under what's known as Mars Veterinary Health, MVH, which, like I say, encompasses even more brands.
And is there any overnight boarding?
No, we don't board overnight.
So if an animal needs either surgery or overnight, that's when you refer out to a local vet?
Correct.
You have a network of your own local vets, or do you refer to the local vet that is actually close by?
Both, depending upon, the availability. It's very similar, like I say, it's very similar to the human side of medicine right now. It's like if we were going to refer that out, and if you needed to go to an ER, we would send you to the closest ER that could take you and see you, depending upon the magnitude. But it's referred out. It would either be in our network, but not necessarily so.
And therefore, you don't compete with not only the local vet necessarily, nor with the emergency care that we have in Skokie with a couple of vets that are 24/7.
Yeah, we like to think of it as we're complementary to each other, and we can coexist, within the communities and within the businesses and the veterinary practices that are already established.
Any other questions? Okay, gentlemen, at this time, I'll ask you to sit down, and I'll have the staff come up and give us its report. Mike Wojtek.
I'd like to request that the report be accepted as written.
Request is granted.
So the floor plan's a little bit tricky to see here. It just consists of a general lobby area, doctor's offices, there's a pharmacy for prescription. We've got some diagnostic areas within this unit. If you're not familiar with this location, it used to be a mattress store. Briefly, I think it was American Mattress or something. Yeah, and it went out during the pandemic, I believe. So it's occupying a double tenant space at Jack's Corner. It's the western end of the eastern building. If you're familiar with the layout, there's a drive-through that goes to Starbucks that wraps around the back. And this facility will be at the eastern end of that building. I'm sorry, the western end of that building. Starbucks is at the eastern end. We feel that this is a complementary use also to a pet supply store that's existing at that same shopping center. So there's good symbiotic relationship, similar. People with similar interests will be, shopping at both or visiting both sites. As far as the site itself, we do have some comments that need to be addressed. We've got some fire comments just describing where they need to show the Starbucks lane relative to the back exit of the door. I think they just want to see if there's any conflicts in case there's an emergency exit and you have to get out of the back door. They just want to make sure people can get out with walking directly into the Starbucks drive-through lane, which, as you know, is a very popular and busy drive-through at that location. The fire is also looking for the labeling of all door widths, the labeling of room dimensions, and then just an inclusion of a scale and a left arrow on the floor plan. I'm going to scroll over to the site plan. So there was a modified review case a year or two ago that granted some relief on this shopping center. The site was restriped to adjust for the new ADA change of policy in handicap parking, where 2 handicap spaces can now share a single loading area. So the striping on the plan is dimensionally correct, but when you actually go out there, it doesn't match. There's actually a parking space on the site that's only 7 feet wide, and I did see a car parked within 7 foot wide space, and I don't know how they got out of their car. So we're just asking that the striping be corrected out in reality to match what was approved on the plan.
So there's enough parking though,
There
enough
is,
spaces?
yeah, there's adequate parking. Relief was granted to, the petitioner through that modified review case. Did not go through planning commission at that time. They were able to accommodate all the parking on site. They also need to bring up the, landscaping back to the approved plan. So when this originally came through, I think around 2015, there was an approved landscape plan. Over time, things have died, not been replaced. So prior to the issuance of an occupancy permit, we've got to bring some bushes back in, a lot of gaps. The tree was cut down, they need to replace it. We've got some, trees along the south side of both the buildings that have grown low, so there's a walkway back there and it's impeding pedestrian access, so we want those limbed up to code requirement of 7 feet. Then fire department, going back to the fire department, they just wanna remove, this, there's a demising wall that was drawn on this plan. This was, obviously, drawn up prior to, the petitioner coming in with the request. They were gonna subdivide the mattress space and have 2 tenants in there, but that's not the case any longer, so we just wanna make sure that we've got an accurate representation of the layout of each of the tenant spaces at the, shopping center. So staff recommends that the petitioner's request for special use permit for veterinary services at 5219 Dewey Avenue in a B2 commercial district be approved based upon proposed positive findings of fact and subject to the recommended and standard special use permit conditions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of the staff? Commissioner Berman?
Question about plantings. Is that something that we can impose on the petitioner, or is that something for the shopping center owner, of which the petitioner is merely a tenant?
We are gonna tie it to the occupancy permit. So at the time that they're ready to open up, the shopping center has to have this taken care of. They can do it tomorrow if they want, but whenever the business is up and ready to go, we'll inspect the site and make sure that that landscape.
So it's an order on it's a mandate on the tenant, but it's actually applying to the shopping center owner.
Right. I mean, this can be conveyed to the owner. You know, the owner, has all this information, and they can work on it before fall if they wish, but as long as it's done before, the business opens up.
And does that correspond to the planting mandate that we put on the recent chicken place 6 months ago that moved into the western
Oh,
end of the center? Because
right, there was
we
a
had a
separate-
planting mandate about them also.
Right, that was a separate requirement, and on that location, I can't remember what the deadline was for them, but they have agreed to it. I mean, they've already got their occupancy, obviously, it's just a matter of adding the outdoor dining, which probably won't be open this year. But they'll have to put that in a reasonable amount of time as well.
But each of them sits separately.
These are separate matters, yeah, yeah. So with the vet, we looked at the overall scope, because it's a larger issue here. Looking at the parking, looking at the landscaping, we wanna make sure that, the shopping center is being maintained to code, both for parking and landscaping standpoint. So we tied it to this particular case.
Okay. Commissioner Berman?
Well, I think you kind of answered some of it, but to your final comment to me, your final comment got right to my point. They don't maintain, the owner does not maintain that property relative anyway to litter and the 4-hour rule and appropriate placement of trash cans at the end of the drive-through.
Okay.
And so, and there's been repeated requests or contact by the village to that owner or the tenant Starbucks to correct those situations, and they haven't. And so, it seems like if we're putting some demands on the owner to bring their landscaping back up to where it should be, and also parking relative, there should be some onus on them to adhere to other requirements that were agreed to when the original construction of that site came before this commission.
Yeah, I think I remember working on the Starbucks case at that time. In that instance, I think the onus of maintenance of litter is embedded in the ordinance So we can follow up as staff directly with Starbucks to enforce that versus it following up with the property, because that's really the responsibility of Starbucks themselves. Not Jack's Corner, unless it's a chronic problem across the entire shopping center. As far as Starbucks goes with the trash receptacle at the end of the driveway, with any litter that's generated by Starbucks, we can follow directly with Starbucks, with the business owner, the business manager, and ensure that their employees are out there patrolling and that they have a receptacle for, people exiting that drive-through. So we would handle that directly with Starbucks, not with the Jack's Corner owner.
Okay, thank
So there
you.
is a condition in their ordinance that specifically states that they have to, their employees are responsible for coming every 4 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
I think the best way to handle it would be through Starbucks directly.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Mike. Petitioner, come back up, please. Okay, you heard the staff report, and is there any, do you have any questions concerning the report? Or any things that
No,
you
not at
object to in the recommended conditions?
No, not at this
Okay, any further comments, or?
I don't have any.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come up and comment or have a question on this case? I see none, okay. Okay, open for a motion on case 2023-23P for veterinary hospital special use permit at 5219 Tui Avenue.
I move approval as presented.
Okay, thank you. Have a second? Commissioner Manchella, thank you. Call for the vote. Commissioner Manchella,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Givannahu,
Aye.
Mr. Jeff Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei,
Aye.
now vote aye. Now, this case still has to go before the Board of Trustees for final approval. They meet on the first and third Mondays of every month, and you will be notified when that case will be heard by them, okay? Thank you, good luck to you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman, and thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners.
Welcome to the community.
Yes. Next case, actually, I have a series of cases coming up. They're all related. Cases number 2023-24P, 25P, 26P, and 27P. This is basically for a request for a limited service restaurant known as Popeye's Chicken, and request for a subdivision, special use, and a site plan, special use for outdoor dining and for a drive-through. Petitioners ready?
We are working on the visuals here for a second. We'll you just bear with us
Okay.
for one minute.
When you're ready.
I hope so.
It's a lively meeting.
Good evening,
Oh,
everyone.
would you please come to the microphone, please? State
Hi,
your
good
name and
evening.
address, please.
Elise Murphy, 350 covered, Chicago.
Wait, would you, wait, when Paul gets out of the way, step more in front of the
Sorry.
microphone. Take your time, we're not rushing you. Okay, please start again.
Sorry. Elise Murphy, and 350 West Hubbard Street.
And you represent whom?
And I'm representing Bontory LLC.
Okay. And a gentleman with you?
Jay Greenberg, also representing Bontury LLC.
Okay, and both of you, would raise your right hand, please. By the way, is there anyone else in your group that may wanna talk or give testimony?
Yeah, you guys wanna come up?
Yeah.
These are,
Yeah, everybody come up, please. Good evening, gentlemen. All right. Well, for now, just all of you, raise your right hand. Do you all affirm that the testimony you give tonight is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you? Thank you, gentlemen. Is there a notice in order?
Yes, notice is proper and correct.
Okay, all right. Please proceed.
So I'm a project manager on the development team at Bond Companies, and tonight I'll be presenting the site plan approval and related cases for the proposed outlot in Tui Plaza Shopping Center on behalf of the petitioner, Bond Tui LLC. So I'll begin with a quick overview of the property and site context before diving in to the site plan. So Tui Avenue is located on the northwest corner of Tui Avenue and Laramie Avenue, and about a quarter mile from the Eden's Expressway. It's a one-story, multi-tenant commercial building with several hundred feet of frontage along Tui Avenue. The property is fully leased with the existing tenants comprising of Pep Boys and Advanced Auto Parts, who are Advanced Auto Parts should be opening in a few weeks with the completion of Pep Boys demising work. Orange Theory and Skechers are longtime tenants and have done well in the space. And then Kawa House is our new end cap coffee shop tenant that is also opened in July and has been doing very well. They also have applied for a special use permit for outdoor dining through a separate application, which you may remember, and as we're proposing to do here for the outlot space. We're currently nearly 20% over parked at Tui Plaza, and with the proposed Popeyes chicken in the outlot, will be just 9 spaces short of our required parking, which is a 6% relief. And given the mix of uses that we have here and the precedent that we are taking from some recent cases that have gone through site plan approval, we feel that this is a reasonable relief request. And I'll give a couple examples. Pep Boys and Advanced Auto Parts. Pep Boys is overparked for their use. They've transitioned to only service car work, so the majority of their users will be parking within the 9 bays where people park to get their car serviced, rather than parking in the parking lot. Kawa House, as another example, they have a morning rush that are pretty empty in the afternoon, which complements Popeye's usage patterns of having no morning usage. They open at 10 a.m., but majority of their business is much later on in the afternoon and early evening. So with those mix of uses, coupled with the precedent case of the Dunkin' Donuts that's just across the street from us on Laramie, their site plan approval process, and just last year, they received a 30% on-site reduction for their towards their parking count. So we feel that 6% is a reasonable ask and works well for our center and for the surrounding area. Zoning and land use. So our site is in a B2 commercial district, and with what we're proposing, we feel that it is contextual with the character of the Tui Avenue commercial corridor, as well as the properties adjacent to us, one of which we just heard from across the street, and the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru and the Starbucks, and we feel that this will be consistent with those land uses. but we were trying to work out with, our technical difficulties earlier, so I apologize, it's not able to be viewed, and the, you wanna, oh. Oh, and then it's, okay, that's all right, that's all right. You'll be able to see it in the proposed site plan, so apologies. But the point here was that, our existing site has these large mature, trees on the east side of the site that, through a lengthy, and, rewarding process with the village over the last year and a half, we've been able to save these, in our proposed plan, while getting, granted relief for the parking spaces. So in our proposed site plan, you'll see, the existing trees there on the east side, as well as most of the existing landscape is to remain, and with the outlot, we will lose, 30 spaces in that area, but we've added 13 on the north side of the property, two of which are from a relocated trash enclosure on the, east side of the building that will be located farther north and farther east. And we've had this, thoroughly reviewed by all of the departments who have, given their blessing on the circulation throughout the site um, in terms of access. We also added a circulations area, on the south side of the parking lot, adjacent to the outlot to allow for easy, flow of traffic through there. So this site plan takes us from 153 to, 136 spaces, and just 9 short of our requirement. As I mentioned on the landscape, we're keeping most of the existing and adding in, these 4 trees here near the outlot, as well as landscape, beds closer to the building there, and then, a row of large shrubs, along Tui Avenue that will, essentially hide from view the drive-through, from Tui Avenue, which was, a change we incorporated, based on our appearance commission, hearing and approval. So, on the drive-through, we have a, stacking capacity of at least 9, which we feel is more than enough for our TIA, traffic impact assessment, stating that the average for Popeyes is between 2 and 7. And with the, we also try to work in several, energy efficiency measures and sustainability initiatives. The tenant is promising to have, high efficiency HVAC units, smart thermostat and economizer, and the storefront glazing, which is on the north, west, entrance area, will be double pane using low E, glass with a low U value. All lighting will be LED, and the interior lighting, will be on dimmers, to improve energy efficiency. In terms of sustainability, in addition to shopping center, or the operations, and provides a natural flow of traffic out, onto Laramie and onto a lighted, intersection, which is also a traffic calming and safety measure in this site plan that we felt good about. And there will also be a trash receptacle, after the pickup window at the end of the drive-through for customer use. And the tenant's trash enclosure will be located on the southeast. It will be a brick matching the building elevations, fully enclosed. And, for the outdoor dining case, there will be 2 tables with 4 chairs each, on a concrete pad on the northwest side, by the entrance. And it's anticipated to be open, May to October. And then we will also have a trash receptacle here for customer outdoor dining use. And then the space will be separated from the drive-through with 4-foot decorative metal fence. So based on this current site plan, we had our surveyor, do a plat of subdivision. Okay, so this is, apologies, that one was also messed up. Okay, this is the existing survey. So it's 2 lots that are under 1 existing tax parcel, and this plat of subdivision would be making, that's supposed to be in line with the property line. Use your imagination a little bit. Apologize. So the tax parcel 1 will be the majority of the shopping center. And then tax parcel 2 will be the southeast corner where the outlot is. Yeah. Thank you.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
On that one slide you had, where parking, I mean, you know, I'm very familiar with this parcel. I pass it multiple times every single day, and am very concerned about the parking issue, and actually just a lot about this project, and I'll get into more of it when staff presents, but Orange Theory, I think you showed 12 spaces for them, but yet I've been there a couple times deliberately to see, and there's more than 12 cars parked there an hour plus while workout routines are taking place. And so I wonder if that's typically what their capacity is supposed to be. And then secondly, relative to Pep Boys, although they may have cars in being serviced, frequently parking places are being taken up on the east side for cars that either are done and waiting to be picked up, or are waiting to go into the service bays. And so I'm just, even though I'm sure that these numbers are accurate, the description may be that, certainly towards Pep Boys, I'm not certain that it's accurate that most of the cars are gonna be inside. And so, now they have changed their business model, and so maybe that is the new, but I'm just curious what the basis is for saying that the cars are gonna be in, mostly in the lot, or mostly in the service area.
Yeah, I don't know that to be the case, that people are just sitting in their parking lot, waiting for their cars, but, yeah, I don't, refute that, but, you know, Pep Boys, is transitioning to a service-only business, so,
I'm not suggesting they're waiting in their car, I'm suggesting they're dropping their car off and it sits waiting to go in for service. And then it's done at 2 p.m, but nobody picks it up till 6, so it sits out in the parking lot for hours, taking up space.
And I have seen that, because I live right across there. Lot of time that Pep Boys, that's completely full, there is no parking. And there's sometime, there is couple of trucks are there, they are taking 3-4 parking space and they are there for 3-4 days continuously.
Yeah, the trucks, has been an issue, and we're aware of that. They're not allowed to do that, so we've had to communicate with them that, yeah, a slap on the wrist, that's not allowed under their lease. So we hope that will at least not be an issue, going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, at this time, I'll have to have the staff come up and give the report. Unless you have anybody in your group that wants to make a comment? Not at this time? Okay, thank you.
So, Chairman, there's 4 cases. Do you wanna go through them in
You
particular
could
order? You wanna start with the site plan? or-
Group them together and just give us an overview or a summary, but we will vote on each case separately.
Right. So as mentioned, there's 4 related cases, 2023, 24, P, 25, P, 26P, and 27P. 2 of those cases are special use permits, one for the drive-through, and one for the outdoor dining, pretty straightforward. One of those cases is for the subdivision that, petitioner explained, very adequately. And then the last one is for the site plan approval. And so just, I guess a few comments. So, during staff's review of this proposal, the initial concerns are around the site circulation, the layout of the parking, and the removal of the established trees along Laramie. So after the revisions and back and forth, which opened up the through lane connecting the east-west aisles, I can pull up the site plan. Can you see the mouse? So there's this used to be all continuous parking, east-west, and when they first proposed the Popeyes, it was oriented 90 degrees, rotated 90 degrees, and there was no path through for cars, so this was one long kind of dead end for cars to get in and out of, and so we thought it would be better for circulation of the site to include this kind of circulation path for parkers. And so so that relieved one of the concerns that we have. And then additionally, the revised site plan retained the existing kind of stand of trees, which was a pretty major concern. As we've talked about drive-throughs a lot lately, not just in specific cases, but the kind of drive-through policy changes, which, by the way, this was in before those changes were contemplated, and so don't have to abide by them, but have gone a long way as laid out by the petitioner to address the spirit of those concerns. And so we felt it was important to keep this kind of big, well-established stand of trees at the expense of essentially 9 parking spaces, right? So the relief that they're asking for is for 9 parking spaces, but what we got were the nice hedge line of trees to the east, and then the circulation path interior to their driveways. She mentioned that they are the tenant is installing some sustainability features. And then, as I mentioned, that they're not bound by the requirements of the recent drive-through policy changes, but the petitioner has agreed to include several of the policy recommendations, including a plan for how the operations will be modified if queuing becomes an issue. And so I think that's one of the other concerns was the stacking of the queue. And one of the things in that policy recommendation that asked for petitioners to provide, like what happens if the worst case scenario comes to light, right? And so let's say the estimates, or the transportation
transportation and traffic consultants, were slightly off, or like the demand is so much more, what would kind of plan be on management of the queuing? And so we'll just, ask to have something on file on what their kind of plan B would be for that. I don't expect it to be, necessarily a problem, but we'd like to have, conversation about that. And then as you mentioned that, there are mobile ordering options, and then they will also prohibit deliveries during peak usage times. Another, big source of our negotiations and back and forth was, fire department's comments. And so, they were concerned about access of their vehicles to the site. And so there's a lot of kind of back and forth of like kind of massaging where their specific site was, but how the whole entire site was accessed, and asked for a lot of different kind of revisions on the drawings for the access paths that their trucks could make. And so they do feel comfortable, and they asked to remove a handful of spots in the back and a couple other places just to allow for those trucks to have the proper turning radius, but they do feel comfortable with where we ended up and where we landed.
Spots in the back, you mean on the far north side of the site? Or
Yeah,
spots in the-
correct.
Oh,
Yeah,
not on the back of this restaurant?
Correct.
Okay.
They had proposed, parking in this kind of area here, which would have been a little bit too, there's actually a little concrete bump out, stairway landing that is getting reduced a bit, but also they removed some of these parking spaces so the trucks have a better, way to kind of swing around. So fire department signed off and feels comfortable with all the changes and edits and modifications. Yeah, so, with that, the staff recommends that the petitioner's request for an existing multi-tenant commercial building and a new limited service restaurant with a drive-through at 5206, 5238 Tui Avenue in a B2 commercial zoning district be approved based on the proposed positive findings of fact for the site plan approval and subject to the recommended site plan approval conditions. Staff further recommends that relief be granted from section 118-218 of the village code to provide 136 parking spaces rather than the required 145 for case 2023-25.
And for the subdivision too, right?
Yep, there's a question, I think, on the site plan from Commissioner Green.
Push the button.
I'm not certain, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, which case it is, but can I have a series of questions? Can I just ask the questions generally?
General questions, yes.
Okay. So, some things that I guess I hadn't noticed before. So, in the 136 parking places, I didn't know there was parking in the back. Is that counted in the 136?
It is, yes.
So, were those typically employee spaces?
Your best guess is that's probably who's gonna park there, and I don't think anyone's gonna go to Popeyes and park back there. We can't assign any spaces to a specific tenant in these, types of projects, but that's the expectation, is that the employees will be parking.
So effectively, commercial parking's, actually the number could be smaller because people, I'm guessing that rarely are consumers using those spaces.
Correct.
And then the comment was made that, in order to keep the trees, that some compromise had to be made on the spaces, parking spaces. How do the trees in the parkway impact on parking spaces? Or is that just, was kind of a give and take?
It was kind of a give and take. Their original proposal, proposed moving the parking kind of to the east a little bit and removing some of that, vegetation. So it was just a priority of the forester and the conversations we've had on the policy changes for drive-throughs. And so we thought that was an important, win for the village.
Okay, and then certainly this flies 100% in the face of what we just agreed to in terms, and I understand it's not subject on because they've been talking about this for a while, but this is probably one of the worst examples of a drive-through queuing being in the front of the building as opposed to even the side or the back.
Yes, as I mentioned, they applied prior to those policy changes were in place. They did do a lot of work to screen it, and so, yeah. Having said all that, we still recommend approval.
And then couple other things. One is, did I hear that the trash, not the receptacles for consumer use, but the actual trash of the facility is gonna be facing Tui?
It's not quite at Tui, it's in this corner, it's in this
Oh,
section.
it's all the way in the corner
Yeah,
there?
but it's completely enclosed, brick
Okay.
enclosure.
And then, so, one of my bigger issues is, a lot of discussion took place when the rehabbing of the Dunkin' Donuts relative to traffic on Laramie, lights and noise relative to those neighbors, and I was kind of expecting some of those same neighbors to be here tonight. So we're now gonna have two fast food restaurants exiting onto Laramie, and one of which is, or both of which are open fairly late at night. Have we talked to any of the neighbors relative to concerns on it?
No neighbors have voiced any opposition. They were notified on-site signage and then, by mail if they lived within 250 feet.
And has there been any discussion about traffic on Laramie with two drive-throughs, maybe at key times, exiting onto a dead-end street and then having to make a right or a left turn onto Tui?
Sure, I mean, we discussed those with the transportation engineers, and those conversations were had, and they felt it was appropriate.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioner
Yeah,
Franklin?
going back to the, entry and exit, can people also exit onto Tui
Yeah.
from the other end, from the west end of the
Over here.
parking lot? I mean, that's not prohibited in any way.
No,
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I have a better.
Yeah, but they can only go
They just go
westbound.
westbound.
Right, no, I understand that, but, yes.
Here we go.
I just wanted to make sure there was no prohibition from even doing that.
Okay, any other questions?
A couple things. What is the screening on TUI in front
Wait,
of
sorry,
you?
say
The screening?
Oh, sure. There's vegetation going to be planted along here, some shrubbery, and then there's also kind of a fence-like structure between the driveway and the building.
Okay. One other question. You said that there's gonna be a prohibition on deliveries during peak access times? Oh, deliveries of
Popeyes.
of food,
Yes.
or supplies.
Right.
Yeah, I got it, okay. I thought we were talking about
Chicken.
they can't pick up chicken during
No, no,
peak
yeah.
access times, so it made no sense.
Okay.
All right, got it.
Got that cleared
I'm
up.
awake.
Any other questions?
I have a couple
Yeah.
questions.
Yes, Commissioner Berman.
First, a comment that, I haven't been here a long time. The vegetation on Laramie, on the north end of the Laramie Strip is heavy. And it's something that we, caused there to be at the time of the Pep Boys installation, because we knew the garage doors were facing the street. So it's possibly one of the reasons why the neighbors are not as complaining as they might otherwise be, because we screened that so heavily, knowing that it was a garage. That was one comment. But now it's a question. Have we had any experience with the pedestrian crossover at Culver's, which has been working, it seems to me, very well, where the pedestrians cross the stack line? And do we have any experience of that? And we're now about to approve another one, which we didn't talk about tonight, but it should be talked about to make sure that that's a safe possibility, as we thought that it might be at Culver's, but we hadn't installed it yet.
Yes, good point. That is true. The some access for the parking is across the driveway.
I would say all of the access, because the access on the east,
Well, I
nobody's,
guess you're
no
right.
customers are gonna park there, because there's no door there. Or is
yeah,
it?
you could park here and walk on.
Yeah, but
Sure.
so all the customers are gonna be on the west. They're gonna walk across that little sidewalk.
Yeah, regarding Culver's, don't know of any complaints or concerns that have come up. I know that, staff has kind of looked at that, for their, like, in reviewing kind of their, special use for their drive-through, over this past summer, but I don't recall it being any issue or any concern, safety-wise or otherwise.
Okay, as long as there's no property standards issue. Another thing, when we approved the site, we wanted, on the west driveway entering, Tui, we wanted there to be, curbing such that it would restrict cars from turning to the east out of that driveway. I don't think that that's installed, but maybe it is. It seems to me to be an open driveway. Maybe that's another issue for the landowner, not Popeyes, but if we don't want cars to turn left, as they are frequently doing, I think, coming out of that site and turning,
Turning
to the
left
east,
onto- onto
coming
Tui.
out of that site,
Yeah.
and obviously crossing all those lanes of traffic and turning eastbound. If we enforced what I think we said at that time, which was to put in some sort of a V curbing, it would not entirely restrict, but it would deter cars from turning eastbound.
Isn't there a divider?
There's a
between
divider
the
there,
east
they
and
can't,
west?
turn
Yeah,
eastbound.
they'd have to go over the divider.
I think it's a low island.
It's a low island. There was talk of that at the time that the Jack's Plaza was built and the stoplight and buses and everything else. And one of the issues was it had to be a low divider. Fire people wanted it to be low, and that's okay.
There is
But
no,
maybe we could direct the westbound traffic out of that driveway to really be westbound and not be able to turn left.
That's usually a pork chop,
Yes.
they call it, yeah.
Portia, thank
I
you.
mean,
I don't think there is divider between the east and west
Not
bound
yet.
traffic. I don't think there is divider right
All
now.
I'm saying, as long as we can mandate certain things for property owners and not just tenants, is this something that in the property ownership, we should mandate? Because we're gonna have a whole lot more traffic than we had previously at the site, don't we wanna direct it to the west?
That's a narrow driveway though.
two thoughts I have on that. One
Mhm.
is, fire department was very concerned with access of this. I would hate to put a pork chop or something that would
Yeah.
limit that. Especially they had the,
Semis
applicant
coming in there.
redraw the circulation of that driveway a couple different times.
Alright.
So they could test both in and out, both coming from the east and coming from the
Yeah,
west,
sure.
and in and out from the east and west. Second thing is, property standards and the police have advised that it's difficult to enforce, regulate, like if there was a sign that said no left turn, it's difficult to enforce that on private
Yes.
property. If it's
Yes.
not in the public way, the police don't really have a way to enforce that.
That's why the pork chop does that.
That's why the pork
But-
chop does
but-
that,
but
but in
it's
this
not good
case,
for fire.
yeah, and so potentially we could maybe, ask them not to include this left turn arrow. I don't know that would prevent
Oh, right,
100% of the people,
Oh, I didn't know there was a left turn arrow there. Oh, that's,
so
makes
I
it
think
even
that's
worse,
easy,
doesn't
I
it?
think that's an easy solution, just either don't have an arrow or only have a right arrow. I think if someone really wanted to turn left, they still will, but I think that's a pretty easy fix.
All right.
Not fix, compromise solution, yeah.
The west driveway now has two arrows shown on this drawing, where people are not only, they're encouraged, not only are they allowed to turn left eastbound.
I think that's an easy condition to add, sure.
Okay, and then the truck issue, is that something that property standards takes care of? We've discussed this at other sites, sometimes too long truck parking, sometimes other standards issues, and the police have said it's not a police issue,
Yeah.
but we neighbors are concerned, so is that something that takes a year to resolve because property standards has to get around to it, it's not really ticketable? But if it is ticketable, wouldn't that be better?
Business Inspection Services does handle a lot of that, but we work closely with them, and in fact, recently have instituted some tweaks to our internal databases that shows when the property has a special use and what exactly that is, so they can check with me or my staff to kind of inquire what exactly are the conditions that are placed on that, so they're not. Because what has happened in the past, not all the time, but has happened, is that they will write a notice and then Mike will go out and inspect for a special use and write notices. So just wanna make sure that everyone's on the same page and working together. So yes, we both review and look at those types of issues.
So a notice is similar to, it's a property inspection ticket, it's a violation, or?
Correct, yeah.
Oh. Is it sanctionable by, is there an administrative hearing, is there a fine?
Yes,
Oh.
but that is the extent of my knowledge. I'll let Johanna.
Yeah, so we would write a notice of violation. I mean, if they are not in conformance with their special use approvals or anything else, site plan approvals, we would notice them, they'd have a chance to cure it, address it. Sometimes it's just as simple as they've had the same person managing the operation, and then new manager comes in and has great ideas about how to oh, why are you waiting till this time to get, let's get deliveries at noon, we can get it cheap, whatever it is. So stuff changes, they have to be reminded. We have increased our presence visiting with businesses, so this is one part of our portfolio of things that we'll do with the businesses to make sure that remind them of the trash pickup, of their, take a look at your special use, make sure, do those kinds of things, just so we're able to get everyone on the same page, because the first time we meet a business is not, it's not ideal to give them a notice of violations.
So this is an advice to the public and to Jeff and others, that if they as neighbors see a lot of trucks that are violating all the parking, they should tell you, and you would go out and call them.
Well, but it's also been at other sites a late night issue with the trucks coming and making noise and having lights, and particularly the Portillos, I think, has been kind of a thorn in the resident side in that condo building there, in terms, and I think they pulled back their deliveries from late night to late evening or something. So, I mean, it works in a variety of ways that's an issue.
Late afternoon, pre-evening is usually a really good time, because it's not quite, it's like that school rush, the pre-dinner, it's a good time, and it doesn't bother too many people.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's more of a philosophical question, maybe that can't be answered here, but, from a strategic plan standpoint, there's roughly 20 restaurants between Laramie and the Skokie portion of Village Crossing, up and down Toohey. And Toohey, it's either fast food restaurants or coffee shops. We've had 3 new coffee shops and a chicken place open up in the last year and a half, maybe. And so and then Jack's Corner is within, 3 or 4 years, and has opened the Starbucks. The traffic, contrary to what traffic might have said from the village, traffic at Toohey and Laramie is generally pretty poor these days at any hour. And Toohey as a whole is very poor at almost any hour, and getting worse in weekends and in prime time. And so my question is, and I'm certainly not trying to kill economic development, but in this case, I don't think necessarily this is the right location for this particular development. And so my question is, from a strategic standpoint, when do we make a decision that enough is enough in terms of the type of usage on a particular street, and the street can't support it anymore?
Busy, we is getting very busy. I live there, it's difficult, sometimes you're waiting to get to the light 10 minutes.
I have some comment.
Sure.
Number one, I, as a restaurant owner, think that it's never enough. So I believe that more economic development is
Your
good,
areas of bank.
and it's never like bank. There's never enough banks. There's never enough food places. That's number one. But number two, similar to what we said at our last meeting about something else, I don't think it's, unless we had a plan that we then could say it was violating, I don't think it's within our discretion to decide
What's enough?
per issue or per site whether it is too much or too little. So I do want more, not less, but if that would be a discussion for a different time, when we create an all-village plan or a plan for Toohey, and then we would say this is inconsistent with the plan, and then it couldn't occur. But I don't think we have that discretion tonight or at any time to make that decision per site unless we have that overall plan, which I don't think we have yet.
I don't think that the restaurants are driving the traffic. I think regardless if the restaurants were not there, traffic will always be there. And I think the restaurants are taking advantage of that. They're trying to, siphon off some of that traffic for their own business. So I wouldn't blame,
See,
I wouldn't blame the number of restaurants on, along Tui for
I-
traffic.
okay, I am there, live on this 2010 to 2003, in 13 years, there is at least 30% more traffic on TUI than in 2010. At least 30% more traffic.
Well, again, I don't think it's the restaurants driving the traffic.
No,
I think
no.
there are other factors driving the traffic.
Whatever it is, this 30% traffic increase is right there.
Well,
Well, Tui is between two single-lane roads,
exactly.
and you have a lot of east-west traffic in that area that services things like hospitals in areas where it drives lots of traffic. And that is the exact scenario, is that traffic is being taken advantage of by restaurants, not driving, that people aren't going, sorry, whoever owns Popeyes, that, oh, I gotta go to Popeyes. It's a convenience. Pull off, grab a meal, and move on.
Okay, so,
We'll agree to disagree.
we agree to disagree, exactly.
At the big plan meeting that we have, that's when we'll discuss those
Well,
things.
that's interesting for
Exactly.
Johanna, maybe we do need to have a discussion about some of our more major, I don't agree that
Well-
they're going on Tui to a hospital since there is none, but,
Well, it's east to Evanston because they don't wanna take Howard and they don't wanna take, what would be Devon, which is even worse. Sorry.
So I'm trying to pull up the sector map for Sector C for comprehensive plan, but it's not working right now. But our plan is closing in on 20 years old, our comprehensive plan, the plan that guides development and how we use land in the village. So there's a subcommittee of the Plan Commission that's gonna look at housing. We're working through with our Economic Development Commission, the creation of an economic development strategy, which could be added into a chapter of the comprehensive plan. So all of these things, there's bigger, smaller plans that could then feed into these things. So I think this is we've pivoted quite a bit in the past 25 years of how we use land and how these restaurants operate, and looking at what that negative, that cumulative effect and how we manage this going forward. And I think we've done a lot of piecemeal of text amendments and thinking about how we better use these uses that we have, but how we incorporate that into our comprehensive plan would be really good to send that message.
So how often you do the traffic studies on these streets, as a village, as Skokie village?
It would only occur if there was major work happening. We don't normally just survey the street as a
No traffic
routine.
studies on these.
It would
these- I
have to
mean,
be
this is the
precipitated
major
by
street,
something.
right? Huh?
Like if there was a change, if we're gonna make a change to something, a change of lane, change, it would be associated with a
Tui Avenue
change.
there is state controlled, isn't it?
Right.
Tonight,
Well, there's
yeah,
that
sure.
too, yeah.
So we should have actually, they must have all the study because they are, by law, they are supposed to do within within 5 years, every 5 years they have to do.
Sure, but that wouldn't in terms of the purview of what the plan commission would be reviewing, that information wouldn't necessarily be pulled into our comprehensive plans, because those are longer range plans and how the land is used.
Okay. Very good. Paul, are we, anything else to offer?
No, that's all I have. Do you have any questions on the subdivision or
No.
the special use?
No.
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, the outdoor dining, how many places are they having?
They have 2 tables of 2 4-top tables, so 8 total.
Okay. Do you think it's well protected there as far as, because it looks like it's just standing out there by itself.
Yeah, there's gonna be a fence and.
Oh, no, it's not that thing over on the top, Paul, it's right next to the building.
it's this
Oh, what's that thing on the top?
It's the garbage corral.
No,
it's
no.
not,
No.
that's a traffic.
That's traffic movement.
These
That-
are spots that are currently used by something else. I think a garbage.
Tire
storage
He's
or
talking-
tires. Yeah.
He's talking about the,
this is-
structure to the north of the woods outdoor seating.
Oh, this is just a median, like an island.
Oh,
Outdoor seating has an arrow. Sorry, it's hard to see. The arrow points to this area.
okay.
Where there is more specific.
I looked at that wrong. Looked like,
There you go.
it
That's
looked
what
like you're
it's-
forcing people out to that island to eat.
Yeah.
That would, oh, that'd be like a killer place to be.
That might be a bridge too far.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Paul. Petitioners wanna come back up, please? After hearing the comments of the commission and report of the staff, do you have any questions or comments, or do you agree with all the recommended conditions of the special use?
Yeah, I think Paul did a wonderful job of going to bat for our plan and summarizing, anything that I missed, in my disheveled, presentation there with all
Okay.
the messed up plans, so I apologize for that, but, yeah, nothing,
Okay,
nothing further,
and-
we agreed to the,
Any members have any more questions of the petitioner while they're up? No? Okay. Well, thank you. At this time, is anybody in the audience who has a question or comment on this case? On these cases, rather? None? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we have to vote on these cases separately, so the first case would be 2023-24P, the subdivision at 5206, 5238 Tui Avenue.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner.
Close and move.
Yeah,
And
motion,
Commissioner
to,
Franklin,
motion to approve as presented, sorry.
as presented, Commissioner, is that a second from Commissioner Franklin?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
This is the subdivision, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, Commissioner Manchella,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Giovannahu,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Matei,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Okay, that passes.
25's gonna need a
Yes, I
motion
have,
for the
I have
relief
that,
too,
yeah. In case 2023-25P, this is for the special, site plan approval at 5206,
No.
5239 Tui for
He called it
Popeyes.
23.
Oh,
Do I have a motion?
Is motion.
wait, is it
Commissioner
25?
Matei?
It's 25P.
25P.
25 feet.
Yeah.
Second.
Approved as presented.
Okay, Commissioner Matei moves and Commissioner Gupta seconds. Any other comments on the site plan? Okay. Commissioner Manchella,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman,
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Giovannahu,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
No.
Commissioner Matei,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Okay, and also in case 2023-25P, this is for the relief of the parking deficit of 6%. Do I have a motion?
That is what,
That's what we
that
just
was what we just
approved,
voted on, though. It was included in that motion of,
20.
It has to be
Move.
separate.
I move that we,
Approve the relief?
approve the relief that is being requested of 6%.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Berman. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Commissioner Matei, thank you. Call for the vote. Commissioner Manchella,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman.
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Giovannahu,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
No.
Commissioner Matei,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. Thank you. Okay, this is for a special use for the drive-through in case 2023-26P. Any further comments?
I move approval as presented.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner
However, it
Matei?
does have
Thank
one
you.
part added to that, which is, I think that Paul suggested that there's further discussion going on about worst-case scenarios, and we're leaving that to the planning staff to
I'm
discuss.
sure that-
What happens if the stack line
Yeah, they'll probably do
grows
that.
too
We
much.
don't, I don't think we have to put that in writing. I think they're gonna do that.
I don't know, it sounds like the planning staff is still continuing to engage that discussion.
Is
And
that right?
requesting it.
I think that's what Paul said.
Yeah,
Just
that's what
for
I
the
said,
record.
I think it's fair, to add that as a condition, just that we would get their plan for, stacking.
Stacking
Okay.
beyond the 9
garages.
cars.
Yeah.
So the motion would be,
To approve 26P as presented,
Mhm.
with the condition that the staff and the petitioner will continue to work on a plan if the stacks become longer than 9 cars. We had to do that with the, just as an aside, we had to do that with the McDonald's at Niles
Mhm.
Center and Dempster because their stack overgrew their stack line.
That's 9 stacking, is that right?
9
9.
at the moment.
Put down solution on that. Okay. And Commissioner Matei, you approved that?
Second.
He seconds it. Commissioner Menchella,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman.
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Givanyahu,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
No.
Commissioner Matei,
Yes.
and I will, thank you. Finally, we have the special use for outdoor dining. Do we have a motion?
I move approval as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gupta, thank you. Call for the vote. Commissioner Menchella,
Aye.
Commissioner Scott Berman.
Aye.
Commissioner Franklin,
Aye.
Commissioner Gupta,
Aye.
Commissioner Givanyahu,
Aye.
Commissioner Jeff Berman,
No.
Commissioner Matei,
Yes.
and I vote aye. Okay, thank you. Again, these cases still have to go before the Board of Trustees for final approval. They meet on the first and third Mondays of every month. You'll all be notified when these cases go before them. Good luck to you. I'm glad we're getting a Popeye's chicken in Skokie. So, again, thank you very much. Good night. Any other business for the commission? None? This meeting's adjourned.